Hello everyone, I'm Michael and welcome to episode 3 of Miscellaneous Mike. Last night's episode was about cancer and the increasing life expectancy in Western countries and how you can combine those two things together, the increasing cancer rate and the increasing life expectancy, and you can make absolutely outrageous inflammatory statements like it is a good thing that people are dying from cancer in the West at increasing rates. So I figure that the general gist of that last night, that video, the point of it was that people have a responsibility to not just take statistics that they see at face value. It helps if you actually look at how those statistics are put together and the evidence that those statements have behind them, and make sure that you understand how they've come to the conclusions that they've got to, rather than just going off your gut feeling, your instinct, and just looking at the results and saying that's wrong. So I figured just to compare and contrast that, today's video isn't going to be about the responsibility of someone looking at information. It's going to be the responsibility of the person who is putting out information, because it doesn't matter how convincing your arguments are. If you are just alienating people with the very first thing you say, it's not going to help. It doesn't matter how convincing your statistics are if nobody bothers to actually look at them. Like the thing with cancer. If you saw that initial line of, it is a good thing that people are dying from cancer at increasing rates in Western countries, you're not going to bother to look at the stats. You're just going to be like, fuck that, I'm out. So, people have a responsibility to clearly articulate their arguments, assuming that you actually want to convince people of what you're saying and you don't just want to argue like, I don't know, I do sometimes. I think a very, very interesting little phenomenon that you might have seen if you were in Australia, back at the end of January with Australia Day, national holiday, and there are a lot of people who want to protest against Australia Day due to all of their reasons, white genocide, it's Eurocentric, it's blah blah blah, it's the day that Captain Cook stole Australia, despite the fact that Captain Cook had been dead for like 11 years. A lot of people out there protesting to change the date, and there was a guy who we saw on YouTube, I think Avi Yemeni, who's an Israeli Australian, and he was out there with a video camera just interviewing people on the street, getting their opinions and try to get them to articulate why they believe the date should be changed, and just asking really basic questions. People couldn't articulate their point to him. You had people who were just, yelling at him, he'd come up and be like, why do you think we should change the date? And they'd just saying like, I don't want to talk to you, I think I've said enough, and hadn't said anything. So if you're out there and you're protesting on the street in order to have, to achieve something, in order to change the date of Australia Day, you think those people would be able to actually articulate the reason why they wanted to do that, but apparently not. It's not just on the left though, you see it on the right. I went to a Jordan Peterson lecture. Trust me, he knows how to articulate his points. Oh, Jesus, he's good. But I went to a Jordan Peterson lecture a couple of weeks ago with a friend, and while we were there, in the foyer, we saw a group of young lads wearing very snazzy looking Fred Perry polo shirts in black with yellow trim, and believe it or not, real life Proud Boys. They actually exist. I was very excited because, it's like meeting the boogeyman on the internet. Oh, it's the far right, let's see. And turns out, they're just regular guys. The Proud Boys have the exact same problems. Their movement has shit branding. they've been branded with, everything in the book because they can't clearly articulate their point. They go, we're Western chauvinists. Chauvinism's got very, very negative connotations. You shouldn't be going around freely labeling yourself with that label. It's not going to endear you to the people who do not already understand what it is that you're talking about. Like, yeah, sure, it's great if you're talking to people who are already in the in-group, but if you're talking to a random stranger and you say, I'm a chauvinist, they're going to be like, you're a fuckhead. And they'll be right. So, what were their views? They were basically how to boil down what their views are. They believe that Western countries have the best sets of values in the world, and if you just look at where people try to immigrate to, I think people vote with their feet on that, and people try to move to Western countries, Yes, Western countries have the best values in the world, and we should be trying to maintain that. And if possible, export that to other areas. It'd be great if areas in the Middle East weren't throwing gay people off roofs. That'd probably help for a start. It would help if China wasn't locking up political dissidents, and if they had, even a modicum of free speech. Even England levels of free speech would be an improvement for China, but that's not going to happen either. But they can't articulate their point. They've just labelled themselves as Western chauvinists, and as a result, anyone who's meeting them for the first time sees, these snazzy shirts, listens to 20 seconds of what they say and goes, you're fucked. Nah, I don't want a bar to do with that. The moral of the story today is, although people have a responsibility to make sure that they understand the information that's given to them, you as a person who is trying to give out information, you have a responsibility to make sure that you are packaging your information in a way that's palatable to people, so that they'll actually want to listen to what you're trying to say. I'm probably failing so hard at that right now, but Anyway, that's all for today. Hope you've enjoyed.